Welcome, everyone. Today we have a guest, uh, a person whom I know for many years, with whom I did study together, with whom we did study together, and his name is Bekhzod. He's right now working and living in USA, and today it will be the first interview that I have recorded on my channel. And then let's begin. Thank you very much, Bekhzod, that you had some time to connect with me today. And special thanks to your wife who is helping us.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, then uh, let's begin. So, while we were preparing to this interview, you told me that you want to address it to your
Yes,
nephew, right? You wanted to share with him some pieces of your, path, life path, some decisions that you made, so that it would be maybe encouraging, or it would make him a bit easy to make decision
yes.
himself. Can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Uh, yes. Initially, when I'm doing something, I always try to think of the result or goal or a person who I'm addressing it, or even if it's me in the future. So, um, since we are having this conversation about my life, about my experience, so I I would think from the perspective of my nephew, and I wanted to address it to him. So so that in future, when he's gonna make his decisions in his life, and uh, if he's going to choose, let's say, an IT path, and become some sort of software engineer, or any specialist from IT industry. So it this conversation, our discussion, and the decisions that I'm going to share, the experience I'm going to share, will help him and make his path much easier and faster to achieve those things that I achieved in certain time. Let's say, yeah,
Okay, amazing. Thank you. But then
yeah,
I have a question. Do you really believe that he should follow like our path? I'm also a software engineer, and you are a software engineer. Do you really believe that this is the way, to succeed? He will enter his, a career in 8, 10 years, maybe
yes,
12 years. And do you think that this is a career, or I call it a trade. So this is what you do daily. This is with what you go to sleep. This is how
yes.
you wake up. It's way of life, right? Do you really believe that this is the way to go?
That's an
Go ahead.
interesting question. Again, it depends on what you want. So, uh, for now, I don't know what he wants. I mean, and the wishes, let's say, the things that he wants might change throughout time while he's growing. He's now almost 10 years old, so it might change throughout time, as I said. So, but if one of the things that he will be choosing for himself, let's say, I want to be an IT guy, let's say. So my path at least can help him to make some decisions. I'm not telling, I'm not even sure about this, that he's gonna maybe copy even what you did or what I did, let's say. um, and everyone's path is unique, but this is like a how would you call it, compass, right? At least it is going to help him to orientate throughout this different combination of scenarios, or this, and also decisions, a lot of decisions, a lot of things that he should be considering.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Do you have some message that you want to convey to him, right now, that you already want to tell him? Because this interview, uh, as I see it, will stay. Maybe if it would not get popular, at least it would
Yeah,
stay for a while on the servers of Google, and many people will have access to this. And which message would you like to convey? Do you have some specific, I know, a few key points that you want to do now? Of course, there will be
Yeah.
many things that we come back to, but do you have any that you want to say now at the beginning?
Yes, I would say uh, there are lots of things actually. So let me just tell you just few that come to my mind first. So never stop trying. Um, always doubt someone's words, even mine, even my words, and it's how went it for me. But when you're achieving something, when you want to achieve something, don't over don't overthink about your goal, which you want to achieve. Like don't emotionally uh, um, how they even say it. Как будет привязанность? Yeah,
Connect too
don't
much
don't
with
connect
this
too
or
much to
what?
your
Yeah.
goal because you
Mm-hmm.
because you're gonna burn out. So just concentrate on the
Okay.
current work that you should do. So
Okay.
uh, I think this first three things pretty much enough.
Cool. Cool. Can you tell a little bit about this nephew so that for those people who will see, will understand better how we build this interview with you because we wanted, to focus on the message to him.
Mm, yes, he's 10 years old. Uh, he's my first nephew and the, let's say, oldest one. Um, he's really passionate about what he's doing. He's really passionate about programming right now. He's learning Python, and I see it's going to be a Russian translation, but fire in his eyes, let's say. Um, he really loves
Okay.
what he does. I do know that they were doing some Scratch programming. I think the language, this programming
Yeah,
language,
yeah. It's
was
Scratch. Yes,
Scratch,
yes, yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
he did really liked it. And he was showing me his small projects, and uh, he was so happy, like showing it, sharing it. Uh, and you know what? When he was 7, 8 years old, he already was able to use PC computer on his own. I do remember myself,
Mm-hmm.
7, 8 years old. I didn't have computer and I couldn't use it. So yeah, I think he's
Okay.
much better than me at his age right now.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you. But then let me again ask this thing that really uh, is a bit
tricky,
heavy
really.
for me. So I have a son, and he is 6 years old,
Wow,
and I do my best to keep him out of any technological trap because
sure.
I'm working with this thing daily as you, and I know that smart people, smarter than me, implemented algorithms to keep them glued to the screen, and this is getting only better with each day. So I try to keep him away. And with what you say, you convey the message that being good with technology at this age is something is a boon, a benefit in
Yeah.
itself. Do you really see it like this, or you mix your feelings with just being proud, and it does not matter in which area your nephew would be, very successful?
That's a good question actually because um, there are two problems here. I guess at least two problems, two things that we need to discuss here. So the first one is what's coming in the future. In future, so how do we need to prepare our nephews? For you, it's your son for the future, so that he will be able to live the life he wants. or she wants if it's your daughter. um, so this is the first problem. So, and second problem is uh, overusing, let's say, devices, mobile phones, the social networking, etc. All these new video platforms that are appearing like every 3 5 years, and which are really distracting. Um, so that uh, I don't know. I also saw the videos of children who over watching, let's say, too much of videos. So, and they become so annoyed. Uh, how would I explain it? Mm,
Hooked.
hooked and
I'm not sure what
too
the word. Mhm.
connected to the hooked and too connected to these devices. Even sometimes it looks like they are slaves of these devices. Yeah, I
Mhm.
do
Mhm.
understand this. I mean, uh,
Mhm.
of course, I don't want my nephew to be in the second position. Um, but you know, I have a friend Daler who always says it is always about balance. So I think here it is
Mhm.
also about balance. So
Mhm.
you need, at least when your nephew is when my nephew is at his age, we can say he's not 18, and maybe he cannot sometimes control himself. So I think we need to help children to do this. By this, what I mean is give them some sort of structure, like they can use uh, devices for certain purposes for some time. So maybe this is going to work. Again, I don't have children right now, so um, I can't tell you exactly what's right or wrong, because I didn't try it myself. Yeah,
Okay.
but I
Okay.
guess it's about the
Cool.
balance.
Okay. Good.
I hope I could answer your question.
Uh, Java here will decide,
Yes,
right? It's not up to me. Uh, let's continue maybe a discussion about life.
yes.
And I wanted to ask you, how would you define, or how would you answer to the question, how do you earn, or maybe the more English way to say it is, what is the way for you to bring bread home? So what do you do for a living? Can you just describe it in a, in your simple words?
In simple words, for 10 years old man,
Yes.
or
Yeah, I don't know how you try to, say it, verbalize it.
mm, I do some sort of intellectual work, um, and help companies automate their scaled applications. Um, and yeah, this brings bread to my table. I would say something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is a company that already has money, and it says, okay, we want to solve this problem. And then you are invited, and for that you write code,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And
Okay,
because
cool.
this is done at big scale, a lot of customers, so they are ready to pay uh, to pay money, I would say. And right now,
Okay,
software engineers, um, how do I even say, pay scale is higher than a regular job. Is considered uh, better, I would say.
okay. What is needed to be a software? So you use the word software engineer, right? Can you tell me, because usually people ask, and there is this confusion, what is the difference between IT guy,
Hmm.
software engineer, coder, programmer? Can you just put this somehow, at at some scale, or just define those words so there would be less of a confusion.
A good point. A good thing. A good question. I don't think we need to put labels on us. First of all, uh, even if I have put label on myself when I said I'm software engineer, but the thing that I noticed that when you put label on yourself, you start limiting yourself and start thinking, let's say, only if you are telling, let's say, software engineering, you are starting thinking only in terms of uh, software engineering. Let's say, what I'm trying to say is, I saw one experiment, and there were people asked to use, let's say, hammer differently. Like, how can you use hammer not just for, I mean, just punching something, let's say, but what can you define, or can you find other purposes for these tools? So lots of people couldn't do this, like, or find uh, lots of applications of this thing, let's say. So what I'm trying to say is, when you are labeling yourself, you are limiting yourself. So I think here, uh, all these software engineers, all these labels are made so that people would faster and easier understand what you are doing. I mean, you're not going to tell everyone every time I'm doing this thing, and you should explain everything like in several sentences. So you just tell them I'm software engineer, and people have general idea of what you are doing. So my answer to your question would be, don't put your labels on yourself. So I didn't even answer to your
Okay.
question, but um,
Okay. So you're saying it's not important.
yes. But
Okay.
um, and these discussions about difference of IT guy, software engineer, I think they are holy wars, right? Uh,
Okay.
and you're just maybe wasting your energy on this. I mean, people who are discussing this are wasting their energy maybe on this. So we are, all of us are in some sort of engineers in our lives. So
Okay. Then I would like to still dig deeper into this point.
sure.
You when you and when I so far was using the word software engineer, it always goes under some how to say it, I don't know, cliche or this general understanding that it is a well-paid job and it's a cool thing. Many people want to do this. They go through boot camps and then they become automatically software engineers,
Yeah.
because some people don't even like to get a degree there. We together didn't have a specific degree, right? In software, in computer science, we had business information systems. Uh, but my question is like this: do do all software engineers have the same type of job? Are they all equal? Are they all doing the same thing? And if not, what how much different could this be?
I think here we have certain things to consider um, in order to answer to your question. So the interesting thing about software engineering is, you know, sometimes I think of software engineering as a tool. So there is a domain where some work, some automation needs to be done. So there is a scaled problem, and we see, I mean, a person or a company sees some sort of pattern processes that need to be automated. So people, let's say software engineers uh, of any type, come and not fix but build um, software on top of that. So what I'm trying to say is, it depends on domain first of all.
Hmm.
So the difficulty in our job partially is that it's not just only about knowing how to program something, but you need to dive deep into domain as well. So you might be
Okay.
in human capital management, let's say, in banking, in
But is it always greenfield? Isn't it that in that 90% of software engineering is about maintaining the system that someone already built? And they don't have a luxury of being able to question, can I use algorithm B or algorithm A? Could I apply this pattern or that pattern? Isn't it that the system was already built, it's super buggy, and then you are working on patches?
yes.
Isn't this the reality of the industry? Or it is really that attractive, like you describe right now? Because what you say is automation, thinking how you would create a new system, greenfield. Because this is what interests me. Because when I see all this, how to say it, um, crazy rush for becoming a software engineer, I always want to show or to talk about ugly parts, but ugly part is a long and discussion that maybe not many people would understand because of course you're well paid, but it goes with a big but, and then there is a list of things that come with your salary.
Um, what you said is actually true. Most of the systems that you work on as a software engineer are most of the time uh, is is about maintaining work. Yes, that's true. Or adding some small features that do not change the application. Um, Not at all, but just let's say um, at a small part that don't even like someone can't even notice. So um, talking about disadvantages of software engineering, I think any job has its own advantages and disadvantages, and um, if you are choosing this path, we can talk about this. I mean, about disadvantages or the monotonous work that we are doing, let's say,
Mhm.
every day. But the thing is, it is our job. It is part of our job. So, um, if you are choosing this path, you need to understand that. I mean, this profession has yes advantages like higher salary, etc. But it also comes with its own disadvantages, like doing monotonous work, most of the time maintaining. Um, yeah, there might be lots of bugs, and you are fixing these bugs. Yes, that's true. Um,
Okay.
so, did I answer your question? Because maybe I just went far with my thoughts, or
No, I think you did. And again,
yes,
it is not me who should evaluate this. But you
yes.
mentioned money. Maybe it's high time to focus on money. Can you tell us how much do software engineers in US or in this state where you live earn? What is the window of the salary that you would expect or people
um,
would should expect?
yeah, for sure. It depends on the level which you are assessed at interview, because you might be assessed that you are of a different level at different companies. And it depends on what company. So companies have different policies. So there is a such a thing like if you ask recruiters what is your salary policy, so that might say they might may say like 75 percentile, right? So that means that they are paying higher than 75% of the companies which pay for this role. So again, if we are talking about average numbers, so from what I saw from different websites that I uh, like monitor from time to time to understand how the market looks like, is so juniors earn from 60 if it's small company, 60,000 K per year gross. It's not net income. And maybe up until 100K. Mm, then mid-level uh, software engineers, I think their salaries start at 80K per year and might end somewhere. It depends. If it's F&G company, it might be much higher with their different perks like stock options and these kind of things. It might end even at 300K per year for mid-level engineers. So again, it depends. Uh, and senior engineers, again, that might be higher. Let's say if it's something like if the company is something like Databricks or OpenAI, it might end even with 1 million for senior engineers. So 1 million per year. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. And let's just make it a bit more. Put this to some coordinates.
Okay.
Uh, how much money do you need to spend in the place where you live? So, what is this base that you need to pay? That would include, your rent, your food costs, your living costs. You don't need to go into the details. You can just say,
Sure,
yeah,
sure,
this is the price tag, monthly price tag.
sure. So again, it depends on the family, on how many people are living together, and
Mm-hmm.
exactly which part of the city, let's say, if it's
Mm-hmm.
the central part of the city or not. But I'm not living in the center of the city. I'm living out of the city, uh, and we are two people, me and my wife, and we are. I'm just trying to give some context. So we are renting an apartment with one bedroom. In our, let's say, in Uzbek style, it's two-room apartment, двухкомнатная квартира. Yeah. So I think based on your other spending, it might vary between 4K per month to 5K per month.
Okay. So it is just costs of living there, right?
Yes, if you just
Okay.
wanna live but not overspend, let's say.
Cool. Then
Yeah.
if we multiply it by 12, it will
Yes.
be how much?
How much is going to be?
Yeah.
It's 50, 60K, something like that.
Okay. 50, 60K. Now we go back to the discussion about the junior salary. And then
Yes.
from this, I conclude because you said gross, it's not enough.
It's not enough if only one person is working, first
Okay.
of all. And secondly, I I'm not a junior software engineer in my current company. Just kidding. So,
Okay.
what was the question? Yes,
No,
like
my question was that many people, I didn't explicitly state it, but
yes,
many people talk about salaries, but they don't
yeah,
talk about other things. And for me, one of those other things is cost of living. Then will be many other things,
like
but
tax,
like tax or
right?
life insurance or transport system or security, like social security. How safe do you feel? But let's not pollute our discussion with
Okay,
with too many things. Let's switch to a different topic. Okay, I still wanted to ask you a few questions about money, but I wanted to tell you this thing um, that popped up a few times during our last discussion when we were preparing. You told me about this book, right? This book.
whoa, whoa,
Uh, and I tried to skim it. Of course, I didn't have enough time to read
sure,
it. So, as I understood the idea, uh, trying to create an environment like, greenhouse, when people are very much protected from things, uh, is not the best way to prepare people to life. And this idea then is applied to different examples. One of the
yes,
examples that Nassim Taleb makes is that when metal is prepared, it's heated very much, and then it
Yes.
becomes soft, and then it gets its shape. Uh, if I assume that this metaphor is correct, and he's applying it again and again, right, to many things, and this is basically the gist of anti-fragile. I want to make a step back and ask: is the whole idea of our interview correct? Because if you want to make life easier to your nephew,
Yes.
isn't it contradicting the spirit
Hmm.
of letting him do his own mistakes,
Yes.
of letting him, suffer through this anti fragility himself? What would you say about that?
Um, but how the idea of our interview contradicts with that? I mean, you're. Let me rephrase what you're asking. So you're saying that uh, by discussing the experience and everything else, uh, which might help him to make his own decisions, or at least give some examples on which he can make decisions based off, is contradicting the idea of uh, anti-fragility, where so I think you might understood the idea of the main idea of the book maybe a little bit different than I had understood it. So let me explain how did I understand the main idea of this book. So anti-fragile, uh, how Taleb explains, means that uh, let's say you take some damage, uh, you heal it, and you become stronger and better. So I think um, I have these parts in my experience where I experienced the same, and this proves this idea. So I don't I don't see that the idea of our interviews somehow contradicts this idea. So you might say that we are showing him, or like ordering or telling him doing this or doing that, right? No, we're not. We're just sharing our experience, and uh, how let's how did I come up to my decisions, uh, and based off what. So he can apply certain techniques, try things out, and those things might work or may not work. So how this is going to help him? um, let's say there is a person who doesn't have any techniques in his arsenal or in her arsenal, and there is a person who has some techniques or decision making algorithms, let's say, in their arsenal. And they tried things out. They tried this person's technique, they tried that person's technique. And what do you think? Who is better prepared for life, or who is better at making decisions? Of course, that person who knows and tried things. So
Okay.
I don't think that the our discussion or topics we will discuss, or at least the whole idea of the interview, is going to somehow contradict it.
Good, good. Thank you. But now you mentioned an interesting thing. This is also what your friend Daler pointed to, that you are using special mental models that are helping you to make decisions, to arrive to maybe efficient or fast decisions. And I have maybe first, let me ask, can you give a few examples of what is that? Because, yeah, maybe I have my own understanding, and those people who listen to us maybe don't exactly understand what is that.
Um, yes. So my main idea is being rational, uh, and maybe everything comes out from this idea. Uh, I think I should tell more examples, talk about examples from my life or my experience, so that maybe um, you can understand the ideas that I'm talking about. So if you remember, I shared one idea, like trying to fail on purpose. So let's say uh, I'm just a person um, who doesn't have this idea about being rational or something. So usually, when you have some, let's say, things that you don't like to do, let's say, and you don't like to experimentate, you don't want to try because you are afraid of failing. So my idea, let's say, as an example, try to fail. So try to fail on purpose. So when let me give some context. So when I studied at school, uh, I had straight A's at all subjects. I was winning uh, almost all Olympiads which I participated in. So that that made me a person who feared failing, because uh, at that time I had an idea that I should be best in everything, and even if I fail in something, even if I get B, or in our Uzbek system it's 4, let's say, mark, it's really bad, and which makes me imperfect. But in real life, you know, it doesn't work like that. I mean, uh, when you go out from your school, everything is new to you, and if you want to succeed in something, you cannot avoid failures, or uh, I mean, even if and those things, everything around you after you graduate your school is unpredictable, they're unstable. So in order to learn all of this, you have to try things. When you are trying things, of course, if these things are your first experience and you're trying them for the first time, second time, third time, even 10th time, you might fail at some point. So you if you are such a person who tries to be perfect, who is studying for straight A's, I think you should bring into your life some failures, because this is the for me this is the how real life works. Like uh, it's not perfect, and there is no place for uh, perfect things as well. So there is always different shades of uh, let's say perfectness.
Cool. Okay. Cool. Interesting.
Yes. Again, if you tell me what exactly Dallaire told, because the thing is, he was talking about a certain mental models which I'm not aware of, because uh, maybe when he's looking from a side at me, he sees some sorts of mental models in my behavior, in decision making, but honestly, I don't see it myself. So if there are some sort of
So they are
examples, I
already
think,
automated in your head.
oh, all right.
I don't know. It's just an assumption. But okay, you mentioned
Okay.
school, and I wanted then to ask a few things about this. You also mentioned marks. Can you tell a bit about your past? Where did you study? How did you study? And how did it happen that marks were important? Even today, we had conversation when my son was, sharing his marks, and my mother was, you know, encouraging him to get good marks. And then she somehow started to talk about how incorrect it was to punish me when I was not getting good marks, and she was apologizing even today because she said, "Yeah, it's not how it should be because those things are uh, changing the brain of a young person, so that he tries to find this encouragement or satisfaction in always proving himself." And this is how I ended up to be. And I wanted to ask for your feelings and your past at school.
Yes, sure. But first, before I start, I don't think that you are at bad position. I don't think that uh, her words or her encouragements to your young self uh, made something bad. I know that feeling when you, let's say, you get a bad mark. Even B mark is bad. Was considered bad uh, when I was at school, but uh, as a result, you have not become a bad person. So I think to a certain extent, you have succeeded. So and you are an example for many people like me as well, because I take some examples from you as well. I take you as an example as well.
Thank you.
So
I am
I don't,
humbled. Uh, Still,
yeah, still, yes. And let me answer the
yes.
question. Yeah. Um, so talking about my childhood, I studied at first school in Zarafshan. I studied there for 8 years. Um, And just for a moment, 2 years ago, I learned that that school is considered one of the best schools in Uzbekistan. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it was in first 10 uh, of those schools in that list. And yeah, um, so what I can tell, like, yes, I was trying to study for straight A's. I do remember maybe two cases when I had B's, but other than that, always these were A marks. And
Maybe I ask a
uh,
bit different question. So if you
yes,
forget everything and try to answer one simple thing, what did school teach you? What was the main lesson that you got out of studying there?
when I think about school years and reflect on those years, um, I think there is one main idea, maybe two. So the first idea is if you work hard, it pays out. If you do what is needed to achieve certain goal, it pays out and you can do this, you can achieve it. And uh, the second thing is there is always a system you participate in, and there are always rules. So this is what I've taken from school. So there are some rules. So you need to learn those rules. You need act on those rules. You need to follow those rules. If you follow those rules, the system itself is going to promote you to upper and upper level. So maybe these two things that I learned
Okay,
from the school.
cool, cool. Then maybe we move further in the educational
Mm-hmm.
direction. So then you are talking about the system. How did you ended up in the system of Westminster International University in this lyceum and university? Can you just tell it was your conscious decision or I don't know, your parents decided for you?
Good question. So I wasn't aware of Westminster International University in Tashkent at all until the eighth grade. When I was at eighth
Still in
elementary school,
Zarafshan, right?
still in Zarafshan, yes. Westminster University opened English learning center, so language learning center there, and His Royal Highness Prince of Kent arrived to this opening
Okay.
himself. Yes, and teachers in Zarafshan uh, have selected uh, like 10 or 12 students from schools. So one of these people were me, and yeah, I was lucky to meet him, to talk to him, just a little bit, just a small talk. And yeah, after that, I learned that there is such a school in Uzbekistan, such university, and yeah, that and I wanted to study there.
Okay. In Lyceum, then they said that there is a Lyceum, and then you would go to study in Lyceum, right? Just mhm.
No, they were just showing the university itself. Um,
University
I
itself.
mean,
Okay.
university itself. So I learned only from university itself, because when I was studying at eighth grade, there was no uh, lyceum
Okay.
at that time. Yeah.
Okay.
So the first year, the first students, um, like were studying there when I was at ninth grade.
Hmm. Hmm. And then how did you ended up in the you did study in Lyceum or no? You
Yes,
did.
yes, I did.
Hmm. And how was it?
So
Yeah.
how it ended up? Okay, so after eighth grade, we moved to Tashkent, moved back because of my father's work, and uh, I started studying at just regular Russian school, where primary language was Russian. Everything was taught in Russian. And when I was studying there, I learned that there is a Lyceum as well. And when I learned that there is a Lyceum, of course, I wanted to try myself. But yeah, still, I didn't believe. Uh, Everyone told me that it was impossible. But and I at some point, everyone will like, what, everyone was telling me that it is impossible and everything else. But at some point, my father told me, "Why you just don't try? Just try." And yeah, after trying, it ended up that with me studying at the Lyceum.
Okay. There was some
And
exam or how was it?
yes, there was an exam. There were only 150 people passing, but uh, more than six or 700 people applied,
Hmm.
and only 150 people passed.
Okay. It was English
Yeah,
and mathematics or something else.
English and
And where did you
mathematics.
learn English?
Right. At
At
school?
school, at that Zarafshan school. And mathematics
Yep,
there as well.
Zarafshan school. Yes.
Okay. Just because I'm interested, what is the difference between you and your father in age?
In age, 30 years.
30 years. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Uh, okay, good. So you ended up in this lyceum, and then how did you decide to go and study in university? Uh, this somehow does not make much sense because there were also other universities. You also could go abroad to study, right?
Yes. That's a good question. I didn't even consider studying abroad. I'm also wondering why at that time I didn't consider this option, because I didn't even have this idea.
Okay.
You know, I mean, mm, I think there was nobody around me that was able to achieve that. And that's why I thought that it's something out of my world. And I didn't even try to think about this or try this. So maybe that was the reason for your question. I mean, the answer to your
Hmm.
question. Why didn't I
Hmm.
try?
It sounds
Uh,
like you're regretting. Are you?
no, I think no, because my goal initially, when I was at uh, eighth grade, I really dreamt about studying it, YUT, let's call it
Hmm.
YUT
Hmm.
shortly. And I actually achieved it. And at that time, for me, it was the best university in our country at that time. So I can say that I studied at the best university.
Okay. But then let me
Yes,
ask add yet another perspective. Uh,
sure.
since recently I had a few young people who were, say, in their 15, 16s approaching me, and they do not want to study at universities. One, of course, later decided still to study. It's his decision. But in general, right now, I smell this trend that people see little value. They just invest into some, into skills, and they start to earn money. Was this an option? Did you consider this when you were that age?
An option of not studying. No, I didn't consider. The answer to this is, first of all, maybe I was not so mature at that time, and I didn't even maybe think with those categories. The second thing was that I didn't have an access to internet even at that time. Um,
How does it mean?
so
Does it mean you didn't have a laptop at home or computer?
I had computer, but I didn't have access to internet. I had access maybe at Lyceum. So I
So
mean,
up until what age you didn't have internet?
uh, of course, I had like you know, mm, how do you call it? Computer
Hmm.
clubs where there was
Hmm.
internet, sure, but like the internet where you can freely access, uh, not waiting like for several minutes and read whatever you want. So it was due maybe second year of my lyceum, uh, and it's something around 15 years, no, 16, 17 years
Hmm.
old, when I was 16 or 17 years old. Yeah. So I didn't have that internet access because I had dial-up access where you were just opening Mail.ru's main page for like 5 minutes, maybe at least. I don't consider it as a access to the internet because you cannot do anything. You can check your email, like it takes 1 hour to check your email. So I don't consider it as an access to internet. So yeah, and what I'm trying to say is by this access to the internet that those maybe those people have this idea as a result of internet penetration, maybe as well, because I saw this thing a lot on the internet that people there is a holy war going on that you know uh, people from one people that have one position are telling you need to study, and people who are against them like we don't need current uh, 4 year education in order to succeed in life. So
But was it an option? I
again,
was expecting somehow this. Was it an
no,
option in your
it
family?
was
Because in my family, it was not an option. My
no.
grandfather has this position. Okay, one grandfather is a different topic, but one, my father's father always used to say, Farouk, you need this paper only one time in your life. When they give you this paper, and they say education, and then you need to put a tick, or high education, and you need to put a tick. That's it. You don't need for anything else, but you need this to make it to use at that point. And I think this was a similar situation in your family, that they always expected you to go to university to get a degree.
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
Sure.
And then I wanted to ask, what were other expectations from you then? Apart from this, maybe they still exist, because we all live in this, how to call it, universe of Uzbek values. I'm not sure if this is the correct way to say it. Let's say Uzbekistan values.
Yes, they do exist. Yep.
Which others do you still feel on your shoulders? Do they push you? I don't know, to get a new kit because this is high time, or what are other things that they stress you with, or that people expect from you, be that your family or I know other people from Uzbekistan?
That's a good a good question, tricky question at the same time, and stressful question at the same time. So let me give you some context. So when I was uh, on the first year, after the first year at university, um, I was still going, following the path that my, let's say, my parents or our Uzbek values, or maybe even our family values, I don't know, whatever, were telling me. I was following this. By that, I mean, um, at that time, I thought that I'm going to be studying economics, but uh, during summertime, I I don't remember what exactly changed my mind, but I do remember that I changed my position.
Just to be precise,
I
not to interrupt
ah
you. There was a module, right?
yes,
This was second semester, and then there were optional modules, and one module was economics. You picked
yes.
this, right? No,
No, we had only
one
one
option.
option, and I chose not AWP, but something for the first year, because AWP, I guess it was for second year students, but it was a website
Okay,
development. Uh,
I got it. Okay,
so connected, I I don't remember choosing
okay. There were
economics.
three options. One was business related, another one finance. I think law. One was law, another one is
Law,
economics, and the last one was related to programming, some website stuff. And you did
yes,
that.
website
Okay.
stuff. Yeah, yeah. I chose that, and by default, I chose economics by the end of the
Hmm.
first year. It was something around May, maybe, but during summer holidays, I was just reflecting on everything, rethinking, reading different articles. But I don't remember what exactly changed my mind. But I came to conclusion that I want to choose
Hmm.
AT. Uh, yes, and
But you were
I
studying on
was
contract, right?
there.
Contract basis. So your father was paying for your
Yes,
contract. How
contract
much
based.
money was this?
He was paying, yes. 5,220
Okay.
dollars per year
Okay.
at that time.
Cool. And
Yes,
then there is this situation. You made the
yes,
decision what that your
yes,
family wanted. Your father is paying for this, and you are this guy who does not earn anything, needs to, in Russian we say, open
yes,
your mouth and persuade him otherwise, right? This is the situation, correct?
yes, yes.
And
That
now
was
you
the
can
situation.
continue.
Yes, yes. Where I so talked to my father, talked to my dad. I don't remember exactly what we talk about, but it was something around 1 hour, maybe longer than that. And I was persuading, giving arguments, reasons why do I need to choose IT over economics. So luckily, I was able
But
to
what
do
was
that.
the main
So
point from your father?
he,
What was important for your father?
that's a good question. So my maybe my ability in future to earn money and live a better life. So I guess this what he wanted for
Okay.
me, not from me, but for
Hmm.
me. Yes, and after that, yeah, when it was just uh, 2 weeks before second year started, I just applied for IT again, for BIS faculty, and again it was a little bit tricky, but I was
Tricky, you
able to
mean
do that. Uh,
because of bureaucracy? Yeah. Okay.
bureaucracy,
Okay.
yeah. Initially, they didn't want
Okay.
to do this, but
But there are always
again,
some
there
ways.
I
If you
was able
don't
to.
break the rules, as you said, there is a way.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't
So all
break.
good. And at the end of the day, you are paying, right? So if you would say, I will just leave your
Yes,
university because you're not listening to me, they would get afraid because it's yeah,
sure.
attractive amount of money. Okay, so this was this conversation with your father that where you won. Let's put it like this. Were there other conversations with your father where you didn't win?
Sure, we can talk about this, but it
Okay.
is 30 minutes. Should we
Let's save it,
let
but or we'll
save
speak
it?
for a few more minutes.
Okay, okay. Um, sure, there were lots of conversations with my father. Um, why this moment was important and why I'm telling about this moment? Because I think it was really important point at my life and for my father-son relationship as well. Because after I did this and after let's say I was able to achieve something. I was able to make my own decisions after that. So I think my father understood that I can do this. I mean, I can make my own decisions, and uh, like in Uzbek families, usually fathers are not telling or advising you. They usually are
Dictating.
ordering, right? You do this, dictating. You
Hmm.
do this, and that's it. No discussions. But here, what my father did was gave me this free space uh, to make my own decisions, my own failures. He was uh, really tolerant to my failures because even if until up to that time I was, let's say, in education, I think I was very successful. I didn't have any failures, but after my decisions, at some points, yes, I had failures. I wasn't that successful at some points, at he as he might have expected, but he was really tolerant to this, and yet I think it turned out better than it could be if I've chosen, uh, let's say, dictatorship over some
Hmm.
sort of
Hmm.
democracy in
Hmm.
our
But
relationship.
you ran away from the question. Were there another point,
Yes,
other tough discussions where when you failed? When?
sure,
Tell. Give one
sure.
example.
Fail. You
When
you
you
mean
tried
you
to
mean
persuade him,
failed?
yes, and you failed to persuade him.
Um, Let me think. Did we have? Um, of course, we had such discussions, but I don't think that they are important for this interview. But as an example, for sure. Uh, I don't know.
If you
It's
don't
it's
want to talk about this, just
pretty
tell it. We
like,
will skip it. All good.
yes. Let's skip because, like, what I'm trying to say. Yes, we had such discussions where I also failed to persuade, or even if I persuaded, my results were not that successful as I expected. But it is not like it's not relevant to our discussion, today's discussion.
I actually disagree with you because you wanted to show how you fail, and this is the best place. But let's cut here. Uh,
Oh,
because
let me
hard
think.
things to
Let me.
discuss are usually the ones that people need to know. And we have this, at least
Mhm.
my feeling. I don't think that it is something Uzbek related, but maybe it's just natural human being stuff. We hide those very sensitive topics that we say they're taboo. So all this kind of failures, you can hear them maybe post factum, some years later when it is not anymore that sensitive to discuss, or when those people involved, pass away. Uh, but they are important. Mm. I can give you many examples. Yeah, one is that my grandmother, she was Russian. Yeah, she passed away some time ago. She was Russian, and my her mother was against my grandfather because he was an Uzbek, and she eventually left a parental house to start living with my grandfather. You know, and they were against because they had this uh, great Russian perspective uh, on this, but this was many years ago. It was after which time was this? It was 1950s, so long ago. And at this time, there was this domination of the Russian culture, and it was not a trend to marry a non-Russian for those people who migrated from Russia to Central Asia. And yeah, this was a very sensitive topic because they didn't like my grandfather at the beginning. Anyway, that's a different topic. Should we cut or you still want to answer?
I think we
Okay,
need
let's
we
cut
need
then.
to cut
Okay,
right
I
now.
will save stuff. Now Uzbekistan. So our motherland or land of our parents. Can you explain to me why so many people want to leave the country?
It's really broad question, which has a lot of factors, a lot of things to consider. Um,
Mm-hmm,
Maybe I will talk only about myself,
mm-hmm,
give example only from my experience, maybe. Um, I think it is, for me, it will beyond the dream to visit other countries, beyond all these things, was that, like, concluding everything into one idea would be that inertia. How would I even say that? Everything that you try to do, let's say, if you want to do something, everything is inertia, or it has a lot of obstacles to do, a lot of obstacles you didn't even expect or didn't even expect it to be there. uh, I think I need to give examples here, right? um, for example, let's say there is a company, and they need one specialist or person, they have vacancy, just an example. So most of the time, these vacancies filled out not with the best interviewee, but with a person uh, who is relative to one of the managers, or who knows someone from that company. I'm not right now telling about
mm-hmm,
referrals or something, but
mm-hmm.
yes,
Nepotism, right? Tanish Bilish.
Tanish
This is how
Belish,
it's called.
this is how it's called.
Mm-hmm,
So, uh, why this is one of the factors that people want to leave? Because there are people that who are doing their best in order to become, let's say, a good specialist, or a master in their professional field. But these kind of obstacles, when not your effort, not your results are considered, but uh, the thing that you are relative to someone, or know someone else, something like that. So it's not fair, I would say. Mm,
so people believe that abroad it's
yes,
fair, right? This is why they
I
want to
guess
leave.
so. If we are talking about um, if we are talking about this Russian term, Utechka Mozgov, if we are talking about these people,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Brain
mhm,
drain.
if we are
Mm-hmm,
talking about brain
mm-hmm.
drain,
Okay,
yes.
okay, cool. But then, why did you leave? Was this also an incentive for you?
Um, that's a good question, actually. Uh, I think because I grew up with this culture, with West culture, with American movies. When I was young, I was watching everything that I watched on TV, or uh, the only source of some entertainment at home was TV, and there were different shows, TV shows or movies, and most of them were American movies. So I think part of my decision was uh, impacted by this Western culture and this image of this Western life, that
Hmm.
it's more convenient, it's better. Uh, you, let's say, in terms of money, you earn more and stuff like that.
Okay. But okay, I see that you didn't like those questions. Then I will ask a question that you should like, because it is maybe pleasing to those who stay in Uzbekistan. What is the reason many people return? Do you know examples of people who came back?
No, I
Because I do.
mhm.
Okay, if you don't know, then the answer will be that they don't return for you.
Yes,
For how long do you already live in US?
it's already been 1 year. So in May, in the beginning of May, it's going to be 1 year. So less than a year.
Okay. Um, then 1 week ago, or even this week on Tuesday, my university mate visited me here in Berlin, and he asked me one direct question that somehow knocked me
Who
down.
visited
It's
you?
very
Sorry.
simple one.
No,
Aziz,
I mean no, I
maybe
mean
you remember him.
student. You said.
No, he is my mate. We
Mhm.
studied together. Uh, and he asked me, "Do you like it here in Berlin, in Germany?" And I'm going to direct the same question to you. Do you like it there where you live for 1 year?
Again, you're asking difficult questions which have lots of factors to consider before answering them. It's not just about yes or no. Maybe even here my answer is being rationalized. Again, let's be here emotional. Yes, I do like, but with buts, as you said. So the most important but is that I don't have my family members with me here. I mean, not all of them. I wish I had my parents here, at least, yeah, my sisters. So, yes, I do like, but with buts.
Okay. Then I ask one more direct question here, and then maybe we switch topic to more technical. You are the youngest son or the only son,
Yes.
right? Then how did it happen that your family allowed you to leave the family and move outside with your wife?
Good question. Again, um, how they allowed. Maybe the first reason is my dreams, and the second reason is maybe their dreams. So let's say I don't want exactly state the what are my dreams and what they are dreams, but it was, let's say, it was some sort of maybe verbal contract where uh, by achieving my dreams or my goals, I also help my parents to do this.
So you promised something to them.
Yes.
What did you promise? Can you tell us?
No, I don't want to. You know the answer,
Good.
but I don't want to.
Now move. Okay. Now let's move to the topic where you will feel more comfortable. Let's talk about your blog.
Yes.
You start when did you start having it?
I don't remember. It was October, but 2 or 3 years ago. Maybe 2 years ago.
2 or 3 years ago.
Yes.
Okay. So what you essentially do, uh, the name is leetcoder, right?
Leetcodin.
Or
Leetcodin.
lead coding. Okay.
Without G
So
in the
what
end.
you
Yeah.
do, you okay, you pick a problem. You then try to solve it, and then you describe the solution in Uzbek, right? You started writing it in English, but then you switched to Uzbek.
Yes, so my idea initially was that there are lots of content in English, maybe in Russian as well, but
Hmm.
I saw a trend when I was in Uzbekistan in Tashkent, when I was visiting different IT conferences. I saw a trend that young people, younger than me again, uh, did speak English and Uzbek, but most of them didn't know Russian, which was standard to my, let's say, generation. So that was interesting. I saw that there was trend for Uzbek content. I saw that there was not much. There was no more many things on this topic in Uzbek language. So I tried to write about algorithms, about problem solving, and preparing for interviews in Uzbek as well. Yeah.
Okay. Why do you do this?
Uh, as you can see right now, I'm not doing this at that level, at that frequency. Why did I do this? If you remember, when we were preparing to this interview, we were talking about Maslow's pyramid. I guess if I'm answering to your question rationally, so that would be um, so maybe some sort of basic needs of my basic needs were covered, and maybe I tried to cover my needs on a higher level in the pyramid of Maslow. So some sort of self-actualization or recognition, something like that. So I guess one of the main reasons of starting blogging is that. Another reason is, again, bringing value. Let's say if I want to be a valuable person in society, uh, it's I won't be just by being there achieving some goals. I would be a valuable member of society by bringing the value. So I wanted to bring value. I wanted to uh, those people who cannot solve or don't understand what are people writing on LeetCode on that website in English, so they may not understand that. So I was explaining uh, in Uzbek.
Okay. And when do you find time to do this? Because you really did this daily, right? Was
Yes,
it daily?
yes, for
For many months?
yes, it was.
Can you tell us your secret?
Yeah, it was all about, I guess, discipline, but which was achieved by working with triggers, which I wrote about in my blog as well. So what So my daily routine at that time was that I woke up earlier so that I can uh, solve a problem. Earlier, I mean, let's say my work started at 9 a.m., so I tried to wake up earlier, sometimes at 6, but usually maybe at 7, 2 hours earlier than that, because still I was struggling with solving many problems at that time, and it was taking like more than an hour maybe. That's why I was taking 2 hours. And after I solved the problem, I tried to explain it, and I took like 1 or 2 hours daily to prepare those materials, description, explanation of how did I solve one problem, let's say. So it took me usually 1 or 2 hours to write post in English and in Uzbek.
Okay. Obviously, you gain some skills with this, right? You gain skills
Sure.
in writing, you gain skills in understanding the problem and solving this. Uh, can you share how much applicable is this knowledge to your daily work?
In terms of direct application, it may not be of that much influence, I would say. Like, I'm not using all of this knowledge of solving different by using different algorithms, let's say by using depth first search or breadth first search at my job. But the thing is that it gives me perspective, it gives me understanding of code. So it's easier for me to understand someone's code right now after uh, this practice. I mean, I'm practicing it maybe already for 2 years, I guess. So there are lots of advantages that are not on the surface actually. So yeah,
Mm.
the one that I which I can mention is it's easier to read someone's code. It's much easier to write code than before starting to do something. You're just assessing everything, and you have I have um, lots of variants of how can I solve a problem, or let's say write code for some functionality, or yeah, something like that.
Okay. Okay, cool. On the face of it, of course, you write a blog and it has some attraction. Uh, on on the second thought, you definitely participate in this trend of giving more value to the process of interviews because lead code born up out of the standard process how these companies they pay a lot as you said are letting people in, right?
Yes,
uh, on one hand not many people can will succeed, but this is obvious I would say. But I want to question and say, do you think that this lifestyle of those people who work for those rich companies is the lifestyle for everyone? Because recently there were lots of high firings, but this is one part of a story. On another hand, there is this uh, fearsome competition uh, within the company where you need to deliver nonstop in an unhealthy way. And my question is, did it ever cross your mind that you participate in popularizing this trend that encourages people to switch to this lifestyle where you prioritize some things over other things? Because for me preparing to an interview is one thing, which I tried to point with my previous question, and actually building stuff that brings value is another thing. And you put stress on the first, you focus more on the first.
that's a good perspective on. Um, maybe I have problems with sound.
I hear you good,
I'm good. Okay.
at least right now.
That's a good perspective you gave, actually, and tricky. Um, regarding the value, so regarding the value for those who follow my blog, so it is their decision. Um, maybe it's their dream to work in such a companies like FNG companies. And when I write my blog, I consider that those people who are following, who are reading, um, they made their own conscious decisions. Um, so actually, at some point, I understood your question as a like that I should take responsibility on that trend. Um,
Once you are so popular, once people really
yes,
follow you,
yeah,
once people believe in what you are writing, right?
yes. So that's a good point, actually. So I might take here defensive position, like um, I'm just doing it for myself. I'm bringing value, but it is value for the audience, for those people who want to work in such a companies, right? Um, Another thing is I'm popularizing this topic where um, those people who work there might be fired under layoffs campaigns, right? And these highly achieving people's uh, culture. That's a good point. So let me think. I do understand this. I do understand um, that I'm helping to promote this trend, but I cannot stop doing this. Um, that's another point. And I don't consider myself as such influential that uh, those people might change their minds. So it is more maybe it's a really good question. It's ethical question from one side, but from another side, I guess we have certain laws and rules, written rules. I guess until I'm not breaking them. That's a good
I
one.
can ask two more questions, maybe related to this, because you mentioned this. Do you think that first comes their goal and then they find you? Or first comes your blog where they find high quality content, where
Mhm.
they enjoy something, and then they arrive to the goal?
I don't know. I don't have stats, mm, and that's why I can't guess here.
Okay, okay, okay.
And I wanted to talk more about the about companies, or what you told me about this their culture. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so what I want to say here is uh, I made this decision. Let's say like I do want to work at one of the FNG companies at some point in my life, right? So, but when I was making this decision, I understood all the advantages and disadvantages. So for me, I try to prioritize what's more important to me. So if we are just putting money aside, so for me, important thing here, working at such companies, is that you are working with the best people. Uh, there was a let's say there was one case in my life when, as I said, when I studied at school, um, I had straight A's. I was considered as the best student, but when I came to Westminster Lyceum, every like every second person was such a person. So there were um, all of this almost all of the students that were studying there were one of the best in their, let's say, subjects or at their schools. So I became average. So the thing is, you grow, you become better when you are surrounded with better, let's say, people at something. If you want to, of course, become better, let's say, at software engineering, you go to the place where best engineers are gathered together. So that was uh, the main point of my decision, main point why I made this decision.
Okay, interesting. But what I feel is that the industry, when this trend started, like 15 years ago, or maybe at least 10 years ago, it was a different, completely different world. There were not so many fields where you could learn and shine. AI almost completely didn't exist how it is now, right? And Stack Overflow was not so popular. Uh, GitHub was also not such a big thing at that time. And right now, those are the facts that you cannot neglect.
Yes.
And my question is, don't you think that right now the situation, the market and everything is so hostile, so different, that maybe it creates unhealthy environment already? And regardless of where you go to, those where top people are already selected, because those where you will be the average, it means that there will be this competition, right? They do usually those yearly evaluation where they remove the bottom 10. How would you feel in this situation then?
That's a good question. If I were removed by this performance evaluation,
You
um,
would not, maybe you would not be removed. I'm not saying this,
yes,
but you would know that this guy who also pushes with you, and he is also the best of the best, creme de la creme, but he will be removed. And you know then next year, when you maybe have bad luck because your son was born and you need to invest more time into your family, and your mind is there, you will not be able to perform on the same level. And such companies value productivity. This is why the whole trend of this crazy productivity is with us right now. And I know from articles in the Economist, the market for productivity boosting drugs is very big in US. I'm not aware here, but this is what I mean. So it's not exactly that you should be in the bottom one, but you will feel this with your skin.
um, so where for me, maybe I'm not in the position right now to answer for those who are being removed because I didn't experience it myself. So, but for the market, what I can say, uh, you think the other times, like 100 years ago, life was much easier, life was much less like stressful. I think there always, uh, if we look back on whatever time period in human history, it was always about if you wanted to stay uh, at a higher levels in some field,
Mhm.
you had to have this kind of life.
But
It's a
can you tell?
trait.
Can you pick one example? What kind of field you have in mind?
Good, good.
It will be hunting. It will be some carpentry, working with hands, or it will be some knowledge work. And if you take knowledge work into account, again, just number of knowledge that you need to accumulate today is much higher. You need to know
That's
about so many different things, right? How you do the deployment, How do you?
That's
What is
true.
the standard of writing code? Then how do you avoid those version comparison with all different tools that on which you depend? There are so many libraries, then frameworks on the top,
That's
and these
correct.
are just the things within the industry. And then you add the information overhead that comes. There are so many gadgets that just eat our brain, and these things didn't exist 100 years ago in your example. And this is what I want to think about this, because this is where you want to go right now, right? I'm not persuading you not to go there, but
Right.
I want to
No,
hear your
no.
conscious evaluation of this.
That's a good. Actually, you are asking very good questions. Maybe I didn't ask myself those questions, and that's why I cannot answer right now. So I don't like to answer the questions that I didn't think through. So maybe some of the parts of your question, or I didn't think through very well, so I may not be able to answer at all. But what I know is that with each generation, the the amount of information is growing, the amount of things that we should be able to do is growing with each generation. From what I see, uh, let's say again as an example, like 100 years ago, you didn't have to memorize lots of like rules to follow. Maybe we didn't even have these road rules where you're driving, let's say, and you have to know uh, all the road signs, right? So this is also a knowledge. This is also some information that you need to learn throughout your life, because if you're not learning it, you're not able to drive, and you won't be driving, right? So 100 years ago, you may just have your horse, and you were able to ride your horse, and that's it, from point A to point B, and you didn't have to spend your, I don't know, 3 4 months learning how to drive, how to press, let's say, accelerator, brake, uh, how to behave yourself on the road. uh, so what I'm trying to say is, yes, it is happening. Lots The amount of information is growing, not even, let's say, in linear, maybe in exponential uh, terms. But the thing is, the number of people is growing, the number of interactions between them is also growing. If we are talking, let's say, about graph theory, so the number of interaction between them is growing. That's why the amount of information is growing as well. That brings us to that, in order to stay competitive, we have to learn a lot of those things. We have to keep in mind lots of factors, and the rest. So um,
I
answering
see.
to your question, this is what we have to do, what we have to deal with right now. So this is the fact. You cannot run away from this. So you
Okay.
just go and adapt. You just go and execute, or you just I don't know, join a community uh, who wants to just live like uh, people who lived 500 years ago or something like that. So it's your choice, but in order to stay competitive, if you want to achieve some goals in your life, and these goals require you learning all of this stuff, yes, you have to do this.
Is it really the way? Because I prepared one quote
Yes.
from your favorite author. There is this book uh, where
Hmm.
all the quotes are collected, and there is this
Okay.
quote from him that actually contradicts a little bit to your
Okay.
lifestyle. Because as I understood, you wake up in the morning, then you dedicate 1 hour to solve that problem. Then you dedicate 1 hour to work on your body to be fit. Then you start working, and then everything is so linear because you want to fit into this new era of all this new information. And the point where I want to go is that we are animals. We cannot survive in this. And you need to say no to too many things and focus on very few and accept that you will never be able to compete on many areas. But when you focus on just that small amount, you will still be able to survive in the future because we need to think of Java here. I still want to push kind of my my values into our conversation.
Sure.
And let me just read it, okay? So I would not be talking too much. A writer told me I don't get anything done today. Answer: try to do nothing. The best way to have only good days is not to aim at getting anything done. Actually, almost everything I have written that has survived was written when I didn't try to get anything done. From my perspective, this is a strong contradiction to what you tried to achieve to your lifestyle. And I also tried to do some research about your favorite author, and he really tries not to push any process on his life. He just tries to write, when it happens. He just, of course, he has some habits where he documents stuff, but that is a creative part. And what do you think in general about this statement? Do you agree? You disagree?
Disagree that I contradict with his statements.
Okay,
Is that yes, I agree. So, from what I told you, from what you see, from what we discuss, yes. So it might be contradicting, and you might ask then why it's your favorite author, right?
exactly.
That's a good question. As I said, because if you remember when we were talking, when we were preparing, because he's breaking the rules, because he he makes people to look at some established things from a different perspective. So that's what I like from reading his books. When he argues with established, maybe sci- scientists in economics, for example. So he tries to bring his own views. I do like this. So yeah, that might be contradicting to what I'm doing right now, but maybe it's some part of myself wants to also do that, like uh, break rules, but not laws, break some established opinions again, but not laws, um, and live the life that you want. Again, it sounds too uh,
Restrictive,
not pop,
self-restrictive. What? Humbling. What? Which word are you looking for?
not popular, but
Populistic.
popsolvative,
Cliche.
populistic, yeah,
Okay.
more cliche, but this is how it is actually.
Okay.
uh, Being able to live how do you want to live is has the highest value. So in order to achieve that, maybe you should pay this price.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. I have some more questions, but I would say we need to stop maybe here and
Okay.
move to our last part, to the blitz, and uh, recording the, not the quiz, but this question that we ask to our readers or followers.
Hey guys, uh, my name is Bekhzod. This is the person who gave interview to Farouk. So let's do a small challenge. So he has a book from my favorite author, Anti-Fragile, Nassim Taleb. So he's uh, gonna do a little challenge. So uh, the question will be, so you guys need to answer in the comments below this video. So the question will be, what is your decisive moment in your life uh, that changed your life? So let it be like that. So what is your decisive moment in life which changed your life? So describe it, please, and we'll choose. We with Farouk will choose the winner, and Farouk is going to send this book to the winner. Peace.
Then Blitz, the last part of our interview. Uh, you need to answer short. If you need to answer in a long way, you can do this. There is no time limit. Let's put it like this.
Okay,
Java or JavaScript?
Java.
Algorithm or just make it work?
Make it work.
Okay. Uh, to go out with a friend or reading a book?
Um, Reading a book.
Okay. Sport or reading a book?
Whoa, that's a difficult one. Both.
Okay. Uh, plov or shashlik?
Oh my god, that's a real difficult question. Plov.
Okay. You keep money for your family or you send it to your parents?
Half and half.
Okay. Tashkent or Navoi?
Um, Tashkent.
Okay. What is the quality that you like in yourself?
Um, I don't know. I never thought in that way. Maybe telling something and trying to stick to that word. I mean, um, if I'm telling that I will do something, I'm I'm trying to do that, whatever it needs to be, whatever I need to do this thing.
Cool.
So
Okay.
if I tell I will do something, I will try to do anything that needs to be done to do that.
Cool. What is important? What is the most important quality in a woman?
Mm, being honest,
Okay.
because it's really difficult for them, I
Okay.
guess.
What is
It's from my experience, at least.
okay? I will not comment on this. Uh, what is the most important quality in a software engineer?
To not to give up. So after trying something 10 times,
Mhm.
even 100 times, to not to give up.
Okay. Which quality you don't like in yourself?
That's a good question again. Let me think. Being lazy.
Okay. Which quality you don't like in women, or which quality you think is not a good quality for a woman to have?
uh, Lying.
Okay. What quality you would consider bad in a software engineer?
um, Not being proactive,
Okay.
something like that.
Okay. Uh, do you regret about anything?
uh, the answer is not going to be brief, I guess. There were times I was doing that, but right now, no.
Okay. What is the thing for which you still feel ashamed?
um, Taking money from my parents and not letting them know, like I made it, I made this. I did this few times when I was in second or third grade at school. It was not that large amount of money, but it still I didn't tell them.
Okay. Two last questions. Money or peace in mind?
That's a hard one. Why? Because they are interconnected. You cannot just select one. Peace of mind. In the end of the day, I think this one is more important.
If or when you meet Nasib Taleb, uh, what
Ah,
will you tell him?
um, to give the world. First of all, uh, I would show my gratitude to him and his work, but there is one big but, which is to show the world um, proofs of what he stands for, what he fights for in his actions. I mean, there are lots of things. If you read his book, you will understand what I'm telling. One of the examples of which is uh, investing strategies, and he proposes some investing strategies, and I'd like to see him proving those strategies work.
Thank you. Do you have any
Yeah.
last words for those who will watch us?
Um, it was an interesting interview. Um, one thing I came up after this is that speaking in another language makes you think differently. I don't know why yet, because I was thinking like you had certain questions, right, during this interview. And if you were asking them in Russian and I was answering them in Russian, I would answer them totally differently. So that's a new thing. That's a new thing that I'm still exploring new things. That's so interesting. And I just wanted to tell you thank you for this interview. That's an interesting one, actually. Uh, and I'm really humbled to be here and to be the first one to be interviewed, and that you asked me to be an interviewee here. Thanks a lot.
Okay. And that was Bekhzod Tairov. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.